Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Maria and I'm an English teacher with 8 years of experience. 8 or 9, I actually forgot. I need to count to find out the exact number of years, but it's been a long time. You know that this video might seem a bit unusual, especially if you've watched some other videos on my channel. You know that usually I talk in Ukrainian, but I figured that I might as well just try one English video to see how it goes, to see if it's gonna be maybe even more useful than just me talking in Ukrainian. So I would really appreciate it if you left a comment down below, letting me know if you prefer English videos or me talking in Ukrainian instead. So today I want to tell you about the language environment. I think you might already know what it means by the title of the video. It's in Ukrainian, but still, the language environment, that's when you are surrounded by English, practically when you live in the English-speaking country of some sort, or maybe you deal with native speakers on a daily basis. So that's when English is everywhere, all day long, and not only during your English classes with a tutor. And I know what an English environment means because actually I have lived in Canada for 1 year almost, and I can really tell the difference between the artificially created language environment versus the real language environment where you don't have to create for yourself any sort of, triggers and other factors that force you have English around you like we do it in Ukraine. But like when you are in the English-speaking country, you don't have any choice. English is everywhere, every time. And I can tell you that the difference in the way I was using the English is totally different and it's huge. And today I want to share this with you. And I want to help you create some kind of even artificially created English environment around you. You might want to ask me, why do I need some sort of an English environment around me? And I want to tell you that if you want to progress in your English and achieve your goals and get to your aims as fast as possible, and you don't want to spend 5 years, 6 years boosting your English skills, you really need to create some sort of an, even if it's some kind of artificial environment around yourself. I've been working with students who have practiced English only with teachers, and I know many people like that. And at the same time, I know many people who were in Ukraine but still trying to immerse themselves deep into English and not only limiting it with like 2 or 3 hours of English a week. And the difference in the progress of these two groups of people is huge. You can't even imagine how drastic the changes become in your confidence, in the way you're using the grammar, in the way you're using vocabulary, in the way how fluent you get if you really have English all around you. So I hope that I've convinced you that language environment is crucial for everybody who wants to develop their skills, both quickly and the high speed, and at the same time with the good quality, with the good fluency and this natural flow that everybody wants. And in my video today, I'm gonna share with you some tips how to create such environment artificially, even if you live in Ukraine. And also I want to tell you how our brain works, and I'm going to share with you some studies that depict why it's important to delve into English as much as you can when trying to learn this language. So let's start with, for example, the language environment, which is real. You live in the English-speaking country, somewhere abroad like US, Australia, Canada, any of those sorts of places, UK. What happens in that place? When you are abroad, something which is multisensory activity turns on. Multisensory activity, it means that English is not only through the speech, but you're stimulated in all the other sorts of ways. First of all, that's the stress. Second of all, that's the language that you hear. Third, you have to use this language. Fourth, there is also the facial expression of people and their body language. So when you are abroad, all of these different aspects, they are alert, they are turned on, and your body, your brain immerses itself deeply into the situation because it's triggered on so many different levels. The visual, like the eyesight, the hearing, the touches, the different sorts of sensors. That's what's called multisensory activity. And the studies show, and there are actually lots of studies on this very same topic, and it has shown that while a person is abroad in the new country where this language is spoken everywhere, the key language processing areas are working and functioning super actively. So there is this crazy activity going on in your brain. And it's not only the fact that this area of your brain is working super hard when you're abroad, just because it's so stressed and everywhere, everything is a trigger to you practically, but on a deeper level, you know that they say that the white brain matter reorganizes. The gray matter becomes denser. The neuroplasticity is boosted. So there are some crazy changes happening on both outside and inside. So this sort of environment stimulates your brain as much as it possibly can. Generally speaking, they say that there are some new neural connections that are formed in your brain, and they are directly linked to improving the memory and increasing your focus and concentration on different sorts of stuff and information that you might hear. You've got better attention control, and you know that people always struggle with this. I know that some of my students, they have some attention problem when it comes to learning English. When you're in Ukraine, you've got some phone calls, you've got like something else, but they say that when you're surrounded by English all the time, your attention really improves, as well as your flexibility. There is also this thing that people in Ukraine, they work with the word, for example, and this word they can remember as, for example, one thing, this one meaning, but when they are abroad, they are exposed to lots of different types of contexts, and they can hear this word here, they can hear this word there. One person is using it in this way, the other person is using it in the other way. So practically when you're in this environment, you don't have any choice but to, like a sponge, to take in all of this information in different aspects, really variously, so you are more flexible and you don't have only this one link, like this word has this meaning and that's it, or I know how to use this word in this context or in this grammar and that's it. So people who live abroad, they actually have lots of chances to learn English because the environment around them is boosting all of this process really, really actively. But we also need to create some sort of the same environment when you're not in that country and when you're really, really trying to get a hold of this language. So how do we replicate this English environment, but for example here in Ukraine? Well, the studies say that you need to create some sort of the same neuroplasticity. So you have to activate the same brain areas and you need to activate the similar brain networks. It's more complicated because it takes far more conscious actions. You need more intention, you need more intensity than rather than it, for example, happens somewhere abroad. So what you do is you surround yourself with the English language, but it's harder because you need to be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, when I'm holding some kind of consultations with some of the students that message me who want to learn English on their own, I'm always telling them that learning English is the conscious process. If you live in Ukraine, if you're not abroad, you need to be aware of what's happening and why you're doing these sorts of activities, like what kind of material you're consuming, what kind of movies you're watching, and like why you are learning English exactly, for example, in this way and not in that way. So the main two factors that are going to help you recreate the same sort of environment in Ukraine is, first of all, the comprehensible input. It means that you're trying to use as much content as you can in your daily life. You're consuming the English-speaking videos, you're reading some articles. It would be better if you found some native speakers or just people, volunteers. There are many volunteers nowadays, offline and online, different groups who want to help you develop English skills. There are lots of people coming from USA who want to teach Ukrainians and provide them with some classes. So definitely there should be some sort of input on different levels. Speaking, writing, listening, watching, different sort of comprehension. And second of all, there also should be this stress. I've already mentioned it in many videos, but I know that some people still don't do it. So I again want to highlight that I've worked with some people who were scared to take some steps and who were scared to put themselves in stressful situations. And you can see that their level of English is a bit stagnant. There is just some kind of a barrier, there is some kind of a wall that you can't break through. And the only way how you can break through this stagnant period of your English is to put yourself in the uncomfortable situation, to be in a huge or minor discomfort, to experience some stress, to feel that you're not good enough in your English just because it's a scary situation, it's a stressful situation. For example, joining some sort of a speaking club, or just figuring out the way how you can start dealing with English in a new way. There should be some real life pressure that would make you respond and speak and use your English not only in the textbooks and stuff like that, but there should be the real life pressure when there is another person waiting for your response, when you don't know what they're gonna say. It can be like making some orders if there are some international companies there. So contacting somebody who can provide some services for you in English, for example, making friends who are not Ukrainians, who come from English-speaking countries, maybe handling some paperwork that you have to do in order to apply to some program or stuff like that. So the main point is to have this real-life pressure and to recreate this real-life pressure, but in here, like in Ukraine. So briefly speaking, and in order to summarize everything, I can tell you that when you live in the English-speaking country, your brain works harder just by existing in this environment, and that's it. Your brain is triggered all the time by different factors, by people talking to you, by some stress events, by all of those multisensory activities that I've mentioned to you prior. But at the same time, in order to recreate this thing in Ukraine, you have to try harder to make your brain, make your body more stimulated to do something, especially if it's out of the comfort zone. So at this point of time, if we're talking about real life environment recreated in Ukraine, it's not enough to watch some movies in English, it's not enough to read something in English. It's cool, but it's still a bit passive. You need to go out there and put yourself on spot and somehow try to figure out which ways would be uncomfortable for you, but you have been thinking about it for a long time. I'm talking joining English speaking clubs. I'm saying about some connections with different volunteers. If you live in big cities in Ukraine, there are lots of volunteers here and there. You can reach out to some of them, ask them for a cup of coffee or like some sort of a meetup. So it's just about trying to be as involved and as uncomfortable as you possibly can. Maybe making some videos in English, it might also be an uncomfortable situation. Maybe if you have a business, start dubbing all the information in English. So reading books, watching movies is good, but sometimes it's not enough for real progress and for real immersion into English, because it's just not enough. These are not enough factors that would be triggering you, because it's not that triggering if you're used to doing it already. And let me share with you a bit of my own experience. So as I've told you, I've been an English teacher for many years, for as long as I remember myself. And I've always dealt with English, like 8 hours every day. And 8 is also not enough, like 9, 10, usually it was like that. And I had a really easy switch between Ukrainian and English. The moment my work finished, I didn't think in English at all, like it was Ukrainian. I was talking to my Ukrainian friends, to my family and everyone else, and it was immediate switch. But I want to admit that as soon as I got in Canada and a few weeks later, and when it approached almost a year of being there, I can tell you that I was all time thinking, talking in English to myself. So, you know, when you accidentally hurt somehow, for example, hit your thumb or stuff like that, or your toe or your pinky, so you feel pain and you can say like a curse word in Ukrainian or what. So for me it was English, and every time something came into my mind, it was English. At that time I used to live with my ex-husband, and we noticed that we actually the first reaction was to talk to each other in English, but we were used to talking in Ukrainian all the time. So it is the deep thing in your brain. So everything is because of this multisensory stimulation. You are surrounded by it everywhere, and your brain doesn't, maybe without even realizing it, but has and feels this obligation, this responsibility, this necessity to talk in English. Your brain materials, they're changing, the gray matter getting denser and stuff like that. So you practically have no other choice. While in Ukraine, I can easily switch from English to Ukrainian without like any English word in my mind, for real. I also had one student asking me, so like, Maria, when people come from some other countries and they start saying, you know, Ukrainian sentence and then an English word pops up, and then they keep talking in Ukrainian and then an English phrase. So what is that? Are they pretending? Like, is it some kind of a thing to stand out and to show that you're so cool and stuff and you've been abroad? And I always say no, it's actually how the brain works. You are just surrounded by English all the time, and you're triggered by it all the time. So the first word that comes into your mind is an English word. It's not a Ukrainian word anymore. And it takes some time to go back, reverse this process. So the main point of this video and my main suggestion to you would be stimulate yourself on different levels, different sensory levels, not only reading, watching, but activating your brain activity by practicing English in the uncomfortable situations, in stressful situations. Don't forget to be conscious. Don't forget that it takes a lot of input and a lot of intention. Because if you just want to chill, consume English content, and feel that your English gonna boost one day, I wanna just warn you that it's gonna take few years, like many years, for you to get English to the high level by this approach. If you're not conscious enough, if you're not pushing yourself enough, you can be stagnant on the same level for 4 years, for 5 years. And all of this flexibility that people have, it only comes after either many years of passive consumption or few active years of immersing yourself into this English language environment. Thank you so much for watching this video till the very end. I hope it has been a bit motivating, or at least you got some English listening practice today too. So I'm eager to hear if you enjoy me talking in English or you'd like me to go back to Ukrainian. I'll be looking forward to receiving your comments down below. Wishing everybody a nice day, and I'll see you in my next videos. Bye!